Hey everyone, I'm Gregory. This is 1 in 20 D&D. Here's another D&D Daily for you. And I really started to feel like I need to call it RPG Daily because obviously I'm talking about other stuff besides D&D. So first and foremost, I got another Car Wars session that we recorded a while back. Finally got it edited and rendered and ready to go. Posted it yesterday, so please go check that out. I've had a few people view it and got some good feedback so far. I'm just stoked to be able to provide that kind of thing for you. I know there's not a lot of stuff out there for Car Wars, so I will probably try to do more of those going forward and maybe get a sort of semi-regular thing going with that. However, because we started Battletech, we might be putting more effort into doing the Battletech game for the next few months. So we'll see where things go. I did part one because it was sort of a long session, so I'm breaking it into two parts. I had part one I posted yesterday, and I will be editing part two this week and get that up as quickly as possible. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, I'm excited about tomorrow because tomorrow we're going to sit back down and play D&D and hopefully I expect, because it's our regular day and nobody has said anything so far, that we should have our full group, which is 3 players. Now, last week on Friday, as I had mentioned, we did sort of a side session. It wasn't, we're so early on, I'm almost hesitant to call it a side session. It was just a different starting point, essentially. And the two of the 3 characters went and investigated some banditry that was happening south of town, and it was just something to get them invested in this this town of Red Larch that they're in, to get them connected so that they feel like they're doing something helpful for the town, and anyone in town that knows what they're doing starts to get a little bit of a appreciation for what they're doing to help out. So this is a good starting place just to get some movement going. And tomorrow we're actually going to get into a little bit more involved activity where there's something mysterious happening near town, and the innkeeper had Kaylee, I think is her name, or Kylia, something like that, has asked them to go and see what's going, because she's convinced that that's where the source of all this trouble, or the source of all the strangeness is coming from. So we'll see how that goes when they investigate what's happening at Lance Rock. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a fun session tomorrow, and I will definitely keep you guys posted how that game goes. I finally finished, over the weekend, I finished listening to the most recent session of Critical Role, and wow, what a cool session that one was. We got tons of, okay, spoilers. We got tons of backstory from Knot. I guess I'm not going to spoil too much, but we got tons of backstory about Knot finding. Okay, well, here's a big spoiler. We find out that Knot is not actually a goblin girl, and I'm going to leave it at that and let you figure out what happens. The rest, if you watch their show and listen to that. Excuse me. So we find out that there's strange things afoot. Not only that, also she has a husband and a son. And so, huge reveal from Sam's character. then there's other stuff that goes down in the episode. They find some stuff. They've gotten. I mean, they're trying to figure out what happened and what to do next. And so it was just a huge episode of role playing, which is really cool. And they did some skill. I mean, there was lots of skills involved and all that kind of thing too. And what I love about how Matt runs the game is they'll do lots of sessions that are pretty intense, where they have at least one, maybe two combats in the session, and then they'll, like, they might do that a few weeks in a row. Then they'll come to these sessions where there's it's almost like a downtime session, not quite, but sort of like a downtime session. What's a downtime session? Well, in 5e, they've included rules for what we call in the game downtime activity, which is like when you're not sitting at a table playing the game, when your characters are not on an adventure. You know, what are they doing? Are they brewing beer? Are they making potions? Are they researching? Are they building stuff? Are they working in a blacksmith? Whatever. Are they performing? They're a bard, so they're out performing and that kind of thing. So it's called downtime activities, and Matt sort of incorporates this. Sometimes he just says, okay, a week or two has passed, what was your character doing? And sometimes he lets them know ahead of time, okay, there's going to be a little bit of time, so think about what you want your characters to be doing in that time. Sometimes he does an actual session where the whole session, it might take course over a day or even a few days, and it's all about developing the characters, figuring out who these characters are, what they get into, what they're interested in, and all this kind of thing. It's really fascinating. It's almost entirely a session of role playing, which is a very different way to play the game. So I guess what I'm talking about and what I'm interested in, what's on my mind right now, is how there's different styles of gameplay. So, like, what's your style? You know, for me, in the games that I run, I enjoy role playing a lot, and I want to do that with the characters, especially if I'm a player. I want to engage with the other players and get involved in role playing in that sense, and with NPCs as well. I also love combat, and this is Gregory, I like having my role playing kind of come through a lot during combat. So it's like the silly things that I might say or do that are creative when we're in a situation. That's fun for me for role playing. Our first game, our Tuesday game, our whole first session was all skills and role playing, which is fun, and that's actually odd for me because I tend to be a little more combat focused, a little more activity focused. So, like, for sure, tomorrow's session, I mean, I'm very quickly gonna get them, let's call it, on the map, you know, where they're gonna actually be doing some exploring into a cave or something like this. So it'll be exciting for me, and it'll be interesting to see how this group comes together and solves problems and deals with combat. I know, you know, in our Wednesday group, we tend to be somewhat also very combat oriented. So we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, I guess, what is your play style like? Like, again, I'm using just one example of Critical Role and then my games that I run. But, like, so for Critical Role, they do both. They do a fair amount of combat. What's cool about the way Matt does it is that they're never, like, in a dungeon delve where they're for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks going through different chambers. That could be boring for some people, not for others. I like that kind of stuff. That's me. But he also doesn't just do, like, just role playing, where some games it's almost exclusively role playing. where do you guys fall? Do you fall somewhere in the middle? Do you like one over the other? What's interesting for you guys? Again, for me, I like a fair amount of combat, and I like role playing to kind of come out in those high tension situations. But that's my taste. What do you guys like? Anyway, let me know. Tell me in the comments, hit me up, send me a message, and in the meantime, check out some of the videos I'm posting, and please, I hope you will just keep tuning in, and let's have some conversations and talk some about D&D and role-playing in general. I appreciate your time. Thanks for stopping by. Keep rolling 20s, my friend, and I'll see you at a table someday.